What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? Well, I don't know. Guess the markets don't want to go down yet. How about that? Shocking that the markets still want to go higher. And of course, that's why we try to let the markets do their thing, right? That's why we don't tell the markets what to do. We try to trade what they're telling us to do. And of course, I would have sold today, except I wasn't here, but I would have sold at the close today. Some spreads, did not, but certainly may do so in the morning. To me, this is a resistance level. Okay, we're up at the top end again of this little consolidation pattern, so we'll see. But listen, there's a lot of stuff out there, and not a lot makes too much sense. But again, you can't fight what's happening. This is why we don't watch the news. This is why we do some headlines. I sold, need some luck. You'll probably get it. Look, you're in times of uncertainty. Certainly any day that the market would crack wouldn't be a surprise from here. Again, if you sold them up here, I have no problem with that. I would have done the same thing myself. I mean, I'm already short, but I would have sold more up here if I was around. But I think that listen, we've got too many issues. But again, I'll ask the question I've asked often: how many of you would actually be buyers of this market? Okay, how many think I guess by a show of yes or no, are we going up, or a U or a D? We going up or down? What do you think? What's the move? And everybody says down. Okay, there's not one up. Now, again, I'm not saying up. I believe that we're going to collapse. Okay, but at the end of the day, okay, one of the reasons that the markets won't go down is because everybody's guarding against it going down. So people are either getting out early, and of course, we've got a real problem with volume. Okay, and again, is it a major problem? Well, it's a major problem when most of the buying is from the retail side. Okay, and which is a fact. That's why you're seeing a lack of volume. Now we've got earnings season starting. Right? It started Friday, and of course, whatchamacallit, the JP Morgan knocked it out of the park. But did they really knock it out of the park? And this is it's 100% what was going to move. Yes. Okay. I mean, the volume was miserable. Okay, here it is. Okay. I mean, again, it's in line, but still lower than it's been. Certainly, the trade would have been to buy, Friday afternoon or overnight, and again, not because it went up, but just because if you play this as a potential blow off. Now, again, I did not. I'm not saying that you should have. I'm just saying that was certainly, if I was to do anything on Friday, it would have been a buyer. Okay. But again, the news is so miserable, but the markets don't give a shit about the news. Okay. That's what we're talking about, right? I mean, look, you've got the Israeli war, whatever you want to call it, the terrorist attack. Okay. You've got, oil exploded on Friday, but still, even with the explosion, oh wait, it's lower than the high it made last week or 2 weeks ago. Gee. So again, you cannot take the news. Yes, it was a vile attack. Yes, it was horrible and horrific, but it doesn't matter. Okay. And that's the question that you have to remember. Okay, that listen, the markets don't care. All that the markets care about is where is their money going to be treated best. Okay, that's all that anybody cares about. Nobody cares. Now you have your few people that will say, well, I'm not buying tobacco companies. I'm not buying this company for that reason. But at the end of the day, your advisors, your investors, you're going to invest in things that you may not necessarily want to invest into. But if that's what's making the money, does it really matter? Okay. So, we can make any kind of excuse we want. Okay. But I mean, you've got tax dollars, taxes are being raised, whether you want to believe it or not, the hidden costs of inflation. Okay. And you've got this imbecile, Paul Krugman. You know who Paul Krugman is? He's the economist who said that the markets would collapse when Trump won the election. And boy, did they have a horrible run when he was president. Oh my God, it was horrible. Okay. But he said we won the war on inflation at very little cost. Now, I would beg to differ with that. I would say that the cost of this inflation has destroyed more people than any other bout with inflation. Okay. I would say that the entire structure and policies have destroyed more and more than anything. Okay. And I think that you have to just recognize. I mean, again, the easiest way to recognize if it's good or bad is where do you start out at? You start out at home, okay, with your own spending, okay, with your own life. If you're having troubles yourself, okay. Hold on one second. If you are having trouble yourself, what do you think the rest of America is doing? Okay, it starts with you. Okay, it starts at home. Okay, that's what we have to remember. Okay, we have a very easy way to tell. It's the same way as you tell of a company that you might like. If you see a new company, like if you were a fan of Starbucks, which I'm not, but if you were a fan of Starbucks, okay, then you might have bought the stock because you liked it. And of course, it was a very good performing stock. If you like, anything, whatever you like, but if you're having struggles at home, okay, with your own budget, how do you think the rest of the world's doing? But yet here we go, markets still go higher. So again, I can't tell you, I can only tell you that a crash is going to happen. But I said, I don't know, it's going on 18 months since I said I thought we're going to go down 50 to 70%. Well, if I had laid it all on the line 18 months ago, I'd be broke by now. Okay. Trust me. I was just talking to my buddy who's my live audience today, live studio audience. Anyways, if I was just saying that at the end of the day, there's a lot of money out there still. Okay. Remember, the Fed printed such an excess of money with their bullshit and how they say they're going to get through this inflation. I mean, it's got to go somewhere. And until all that money comes due, and the toll is going to be paid soon. Okay. But soon is a relative term. If you're 100, it better be real soon. If you're 20, soon could be 10 years from now. You have to relate it. But again, there's no reason to jump with your opinion saying that I'm going to do this, because that doesn't do you any good. All right. You have to sit there and find levels and reasons. And I guarantee you, or as my father used to say, I guarantee that you will find a level to sell that you'll make money from. And when the collapse is going to come, okay, there'll be plenty of opportunities. The real question is, will you be able to benefit from that, or will you get scared out? Okay. I've told the story before, but for some of you who are new who haven't heard it before, during 2008, there were some massive rallies to sell. Okay. And I was going in for surgery, and I had a huge short position on. And I said, and the markets were soaring higher. And I go, do I cover? And I said, maybe I'll drop on the table. I won't have to worry about it. And by the time I got out of surgery, the market had collapsed and fallen down again. And that's what you're waiting for. We don't see that kind of action right now. Okay. The sell-offs are not deep. Too many of you get too into the number. Now, the Nasdaq was up 180 today. Okay. So what is 180 of the index? Okay. The index is trading at what? 1500, whatever it is. Is that what it is? I don't even know. Can't even give a number. 15.3. Okay. So you're up less than 1.5%. Now, if you had $100 stock that was up or down $1.50, would you even think about it? And the answer is no, you wouldn't even give it. Don't let the numbers get to you. Do you realize that when I started trading, the Dow was 800? Okay. It was up 400 today. That was half of what it was when I started trading it. Okay. You can't get alarmed by these big numbers. They're just big numbers, but you're trading indexes that are much bigger than they ever were. So don't worry about you can talk. It's okay. Don't bother me. You can't worry about these big numbers because they're just numbers. Remember, everything you do is on a percentage basis. Okay. That's what we're talking about. From the 2% inflation, which you're never going to get to legitimately, and you're not going to get there with the Fed either, because what the Fed is really doing is they're making the problem worse. Okay. They are not helping. As I told you, when they started this ridiculous program and when they came up with their 2% target, they're never getting there anyways. Okay. There's only one way to get there, and that's to create a deflationary scenario. And believe me, okay, the deflation is the last thing that you want. Okay. You get deflation, you got nothing. You got nothing from nobody, and nobody's going to make any money. Okay. This is horrible, but deflation is going to be worse. And that's where we're headed. And of course, the worst of all is stagflation. Okay. No production, no earnings, no nothing. But you have to, again, watch the market. You got to let the market show you and share with you what it's doing. I mean, the Russell is definitely broken down. Okay. And of course, that does make sense, does it not? The Russell, the destruction of small business in this country has never been so prevalent. Okay. You watch this government work, and again, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. In this particular case, none of them give a shit about you. Okay. All they care about is you pay your taxes and that they can put you out of business whenever they want. And watch the destruction of the independent owner. The days of a small guy, of another Jeff Bezos or what's the guy from Apple, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, the odds of guys like that coming along again are remote, because you can't afford to start small. Okay. Is the volume in oil collapsing? I don't know. It looks like it's collapsing to me. What do you think? Okay. Now, I could give you an excuse for today. Okay. You're in that period where you got 2 months worth of volume, right? Okay. You've got November's coming off, December's coming up, but it's still pretty light. So look, isn't much volume anywhere in anything. Okay. Which shows you that the most money being invested today is more retail. Okay. I personally believe, could be wrong. Okay. But that is the commercials and the funds and the big firms, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Bank of America, they're waiting. They're allowing you to get sucked in. Okay. And one day you're going to wake up and they're going to start cracking. Okay. Now, remember, if you remember last year when we had some big days, if you remember COVID, okay, all that selling still brought in big rallies. Remember, the markets aren't going straight down. They're not going straight up. And I refer you back to 1987. Okay. That market just didn't collapse on that Monday. That market was going down for months before that. And if you look at the week before, the audio is distorted because of you, not because of me. Okay. So you mutter, check your speakers or do what you got to do. My audio is perfect. Okay. So that market, if you go back, I think the market was down almost as much the week before as it was down on the Monday. Okay. So again, there's going to be plenty of opportunity. 08, the market just didn't start going down in October of 08. The market was already in trouble in January of 08 and part of 07. These things just don't happen. We just choose to remember the big day or the big period. But there was monster rallies throughout both of them. Okay. In fact, on Tuesday of 1987, the market was up about 300 or 400 at one time before it ended up selling off a little bit. But The markets don't do that. Okay. Crude was up $4 on Friday, is down today. Okay. That's a true market, because you're going to find people that are going to be seeking to sell or to buy at certain points and certain levels. So don't put yourself in a position to try to outguess or outsmart, as they call it, the tape. Right? The tape is the action that goes in here. Okay. The buyers and sellers make up the pattern. Okay. And that's how you see. So typically when a market goes up, the buyers are a little bit more aggressive, but it still has to be, no matter how much the Fed does their manipulation tactics, no matter how much all of you who think that the metals markets are manipulated, there still has to be a buyer on one side and a seller on the other side. It does not matter. So quit with the whining about manipulation, because if they were only sellers and they would push it all the way down, somebody would step in and buy it. Okay. There has to be price discovery at some point, always. Okay. That's how markets truly work. Now, again, granted, we don't have the same true free markets that we've had. Okay. They've been getting worse and worse. And certainly this asshole is in the White House right now is making it as bad as he can, but it's really not him, is it? I mean, does anybody believe that he's really the one who's running the country? Does anybody believe that Joe Biden has enough brains to run anything, let alone this country? He's nothing more than a puppet. Okay. But look at the other side. They can't even find a speaker. Okay. Okay. So look, our political system is totally broken down. There's no action. There's not one of them has that I know of. Let me rephrase it. That has my or your best interest at heart. Okay. They are, for one thing, okay, they want to steal as much money as they can steal. Republican, Democrat, any of them. Okay. They want to turn into lobbyists so they can get even more money. I mean, how is Joe Biden worth over $100 million? Okay. After being a career politician. Okay. Considering that him and Jill only made $6 million in their life. How are the Clintons billionaires? Okay. Again, they're the smartest people in the world, or they get the biggest pencil. Okay. So every bill that gets passed there's money going somewhere that we have no idea, because nobody takes the time to read it. So at the end of the day, let the market dictate the terms to you. If you don't want to be long your head, I'm not telling you to run out and get long. Just don't get short yet. Wait until there's a time. Like today would have been fine. If you told me, hey, I took a position to the short side, I could live with that. Okay. Because again, I got a reason. I'm at resistance. Now, if I fail, but I also, what is the next, if you're going to take a position, okay, what is the next biggest thing you have to do? If you're going to decide to take a position that might be a little bit more higher risk, what must you do as a trader? What is the one thing you have to do before you do anything? Make sure you have your Trojans. Yeah. Now, make sure you have protection. Well, yeah. But if you're going to take an outright shot, okay, and say, hey, this is a top, I can see it, there's resistance here, great. But you better have an exit plan. Okay, you better know where you're getting out. Okay, just to sit there and wait for it is not going to work. Okay, and that's what too many people do. Again, they want to formulate an opinion. They think it's an educated opinion because of all the news they see. Remember, what you see on TV is about as old. You're probably the 1 millionth person to know about that news. Okay. So don't put yourself in a position to try to, I know what you meant. I'm not, listen, everybody gave the right answer. Know how to protect yourself, not to get out. Okay. It's easy to get in, right? The Roach Motel. You can get in, but you can't get out. Well, you better know how you're getting out before you get it. Okay. You have to have a trigger point or something that says, this is where my exit is going to be. Because if it comes down to you and a panic to get out, how good is that decision going to work out for you? If you got to panic out, how good is that going to work out for you? And you'll bet your ass you either sold the bottom or bought the top. Okay. Look at all these guys who chased up the oil market on Friday. Okay. Look what happened to them. Well, they sold them off today. Okay. Here, I told you, oil was 95 2 weeks ago, tomorrow. Okay. With everything in Israel, okay, all the losses of the markets have been recovered and oil is only come back halfway from where the low is. So again, if you get nervous and you panic or puke without an exit plan, you're going to lose your ass. You got no chance. Okay. Trust me. Now, you guys who trade me every day, do we ever panic or puke? Every morning when we trade for an hour, if there's anything to trade, of course, today we quit early. I got a half a day off because there's nothing to do. But I mean, if you panic, you can't win. That's the bottom line. If you panic, you can't win. All right. Just remember, we got lots of issues, and there's always going to be lots of issues. Okay. They just happen to be more apparent right now. We got trouble with jobs. We got trouble with the unions. And please break all those unions. I hope they all go out. Okay. Nothing would make me happier than to bust every union in this country. Now, we know that's not going to happen because we know that they're going to cave. And how are they going to cave? Who's going to pay for it when they cave? Who gets the privilege to pay for that? So you're looking for 84 in WTI? That's just a support level. I mean, I think you're 84 to 90, but I'll get there. I'll get to all levels shortly. The taxpayer's going to pay. Okay, we're going to pay. We get the privilege of getting screwed. Okay, that's the beautiful thing about being an American is we make enough money to get screwed, and we let the government steal it from us. Okay, we went to war in 1776 for less than things that are going on now. Okay, for less than what's going on right now. Okay, so don't kid yourself. Okay, that they're not taking advantage of everything. And believe me, the emergency lending rate window has never been more crowded with banks, which tells you that the banks are still over leveraged. What's going to happen when mortgage rates go to 10%? They're already at 8%. Okay, maybe some of you can get better, whatever. But if you want to buy a house in Las Vegas, you got to be able to qualify for an 8% mortgage. Okay, so all of a sudden, how much is that on your payment? How much of a house can you buy? All right. So again, remember, we're going to be the ones paying for all these bailouts again. And this is not the first go round. Okay. This is not your first rodeo. Government and the Federal Reserve, they do not make money. They make debt. Because why? Because they know they've got a captive audience that's going to satisfy that debt. Okay. Make sense? Am I talking to myself again? I need some help here. I need a break. Got to take a hit off my vape machine. What do you say, Martin? Anyways, so again, don't let the news get to you. The market will tell you. Okay. And typically, and almost invariably, every time we have a big move in either direction, if there's any action behind it, or any volume behind it, more often than not, it's going the other way, at least short term. And again, I don't use them, but I keep them up for you guys. Okay. Just look at the Bollinger Bands. Okay. I mean, copper pretty much oversold. It was a little higher today, but again, it's going to be those conditions. These numbers, these mathematical numbers and equations, okay, are going to always come into play at some point. Okay. Just remember that. So don't chase the market up or down. Always sit back, take a deep breath. Okay. And think about it before you make that crucial decision. Okay. And I will assure you that more than 90% of the time, you'll be happy that you waited. Okay. The sad part is that there seems to be there is no end in sight into the corruption. Because listen, when ignorant people keep voting blindly for the Democratic Party, now I'm a libertarian and I have voted either side of the aisle in my life. Okay. I have no problem with anybody that's going to do the job. But when you blindly vote, okay, for a party, and the party is anybody who's of my age knows that the Democratic and Republican Party are not the ones that we grew up with. Okay, they are so far from the center base that it's amazing that nobody sees or nobody cares enough. Okay, but this goes back to when I'd say that it may be the greatest country, but it's getting worse. Okay, because nobody cares. And nobody will care until it's too late. Okay. Just remember that. Remember you heard it here. Okay. So far, if you used to listen to my podcast, everything I said was going to happen over time happens. Okay. Because it's easy to see if you're not blind to what's going on here. mean, I still don't understand how an American Jew voted for Joe Biden, yet they voted for him overwhelmingly. Okay. And he is a known racist. Again, this is not an opinion. This is a fact. This is from all his votes. He's a known Israel hater. But yet the Jews lined up and voted for him. So again, what can I tell you? All right. And they're going to continue the corruption. Okay. Yeah. I can't take Hamas. Listen, I can't get into it because I'm not politically correct enough. I don't know I can carry on that conversation. So I'm going to say that I'm going to stop this part and I'm going to go into the regular Monday call. So give me a second.